and it's almost like, okay, now the mission's changed because I'm
Yes.
not going to not going to continue my community bridge mission, but I'm
Yeah.
also not going to leave my peers and my brethren hanging to dry because it wasn't. You realize like this is what I want, this is what I'm really good at,
Yes.
clearly. So let's make them together, and then that's kind of how you brand. And it takes time to brand anything. It just takes
Yeah.
time. When you start something, no matter if it's a t-shirt line, a podcast, a company, anything, branding usually is way different a year down the road, 5 years down the road, because you have an idea, but you have to. It's just a business plan, essentially, and it's on the fly,
Yeah.
and you're not going to piss away opportunities, but you're also not going to um, uh, give up on your main goal.
Yeah. I think the battle for us as cops, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, is we feel guilty if we make money trying to do this.
I don't.
You don't,
I feel no guilt.
but I think that initially that for me that was a big
Yeah.
dilemma for me because I didn't intend that. I didn't think it. I had an idea and I was like, let's run with this. And then finally somebody pointed out to me like, look, dude, you've spent this amount of money. You're spending 40 to 60 hours a week doing something that you're not getting anything back for.
Mhm.
Why? Because you're trying to do this. Now you've built this following. You've got these numbers. You're telling me that you don't think that you're worth anything? Is that what you're saying? I was like, well, no, I'm not saying that. And he's like, all right. He's like, well, now look, here is what the general market spends for the numbers that you're presenting. He's like, we can say if you had a name like Panasonic, this is the numbers. This is how much you'd be getting for those same numbers. And then if you're somebody that's a small town business that nobody knows about, but you got those numbers, here's those. So let's meet in the average. Where do you rank yourself at in that? And I was like, oh, fuck, man. I never even thought of it that way. So, it took having some friends outside of the police world to point out to me and help me out, help me
Yeah.
do that. And so,
And as a cop too, you're always when you pick this profession, you do it because you want to have a career of significance. You want to make an impact on people's lives. So if you left police work tomorrow, you can't just have a regular job. It's not the thrill, it's not the excitement, it's a sense of purpose. Um, Now, however, if this blew up and you were able to retire at the good retirement age, or maybe even a little earlier because this is doing so well, you can walk away because now your new sense of purpose is this podcast because you're providing a service essentially. It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
it's in the airwaves, you
Yeah.
know.
And you tell me what you think of this. One of the things that I've had been considering is, let's say I do really well monetarily doing this podcast to the point where I could say I could walk away from law enforcement. Do I lose my legitimacy?
Mm. I don't think so. Um, because you can't be a cop forever. No one could.
True.
Really, and the legitimacy thing too is, I mean, look at people that use their background and their reputation for the main selling point of their product or service. Um, Sometimes they were only that thing for a short period of time, and then they kind of dialed it down.
Yep.
So like
I
for
hear
instance,
it.
yeah, yeah,
When
like,
they talk, I'm like, you're full of shit.
yeah. You ain't been in that. You ain't been in the
No.
in the shit in like 10 years. Which is fine.
Yes.
And I'm okay with, but I am okay with, as long as at one point you were doing it, what, not you in particular, but just anything that anybody ever claims to be. Like, I'm not going to be a street cop my whole career. I just can't. I can't handle it. So if I'm working at the courthouse in 15 years waiting on my retirement and I'm still podcasting and I'm known as the street cop, everybody else can get over it, is the way I look at it. But, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go to the courthouse. Being cynical.
Yeah. It's we'll do this on your podcast, but one of the things I have noticed is some of these people, and not to throw shade on people out there trying to hustle and do podcasting and because you enjoy it and all that stuff, but you're throwing out a persona that guys like me that's been in the street, like I was patrol 10 years, finally switched over to be an academy instructor, but then went right back into being, what I do now, what I like to call a meat eater. I hear the way you talk. I don't know that you ever really did anything in the street. And you're portraying like you're out there. And that's a problem for me.
That's Adam from Police Post. What? What? Oh man, my bad.
Who's Adam? Adam from Police Post? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, he's a guy. Police Post is an Instagram page with 500,000 followers. They like to comment on every single hot call, like shooting, and give what they would have done better.
They Monday morning quarterback.
They essentially shit on the cop who is in a situation that no person will ever be in their life. This cop never thought, and I'm talking to every cop that's in an active shooter scenario. No cop ever, dude, that's never going to happen to me until it does. And you're judged on your actions. And none of these cops did anything cowardice. None of these cops did anything wrong. But you got these guys out here that sell services that go, what's Monday morning quarterback? This cop that just saved lives for being out of breath when he was sprinting, 500 yards or 1,000 yards
in 40 pounds worth of gear
in an outdoor mall to get to this guy because he has to listen for the shots.
I know exactly what call you're talking about. I was like, man, my boy is going. He's doing what he can. Good for him.
And those guys at Police Post had the nutsack to sit there and start giving this guy shit about being overweight or out of shape or something like that. And
fuck them.
Yeah. So, turns out, somebody got so sick of this guy's shit that they did a background check on where he came from.
Oh, beautiful.
He was a fish and wildlife agriculture cop for 7 years.
No offense.
Well, I'm just saying what he talks. It's like you said, if that's your thing, don't come out here and own a company that's survival, active shooter, BJJ, shooter company.
Yeah.
And don't talk shit. Because also he jumps on my comment sections and started, demeaning me. And I'm like,
really?
Who is this guy? Oh, yeah. I saved screenshots. So anyway, somebody got sick of it and requested a background check on him. And this investigator did everything he's supposed to do when somebody asked and provided it. And there was a bunch of questions. One of them was, he's never been in a use of force a day in his life. He's never done anything.
Beautiful.
And he's out here acting like he's, God's gift to the street.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I might have a project with that once we're done with old Robert.